The human mind is an amazing thing. On the one hand, it has the capacity to give us the ultimate freedom. And on the other hand, it can be a living nightmare. It can trap us in so many ways. I'm really interested in the ways in which the mind is programmed through our language patterns, through the language patterns of identification that we learn from a very young age, that we no longer even stop to think about. And I'm talking about particularly the pronouns that we use. So I, you, he, she, or it, we, you, and they. These 6 layers, these 6 modes of identification. And they're really extraordinary when we consider, these 6 layers of the mind. So let's explore them. The first one, I call it the wisdom mind. This is I. And we learn I from such a young age. I, identify. The wisdom mind is the capacity of the mind to just merge with all creation. The mind is actually infinite. It's eternal. It interpenetrates all things, all beings. There is nothing that can prevent your mind from going anywhere and being anything. And so it therefore is permeated with the whole wisdom of the cosmos, of the universe. It is an icon of the universe. So it has accessibility to all areas, and therefore it can resolve all issues, problems, challenges that we face. And this is why I call it the wisdom mind, because when we really understand it, when we really see the vast nature of mind, it is awesome, in what it can achieve and what it can know. On the other hand, I, we look at it at a low frequency, at a negative, in a negative light, in a way, in a self-destructive light. It becomes self-sabotage. So that's the first pattern, that can undermine us. Self-sabotage. I takes on the burden of the whole world. I am to blame. I did it. It's me. I'm the problem. It's a deep sinking into one's own misery, because you take it all on yourself. You take the full weight of the world onto your shoulders. And, out of that comes so many difficulties with self-esteem, with, self-love and self-harm and all of that. Right? But remember, this is the wisdom mind. So I also, at its highest level, has the capacity to know I am love. That's the highest capacity that any human being has. That is the great statement of the universe, of the wisdom mind. I am love. That Christ principle. I am love. And the one that can live, I am love, is the truly wise being, the limitless being. So that wisdom mind has the capacity to really break out and move through, the patterns of self-sabotage that are imprinted in us. So that's the journey of the I. That's the first mind. The second mind is you. You singular. You. And this I call the freedom mind. The freedom mind is awesome as well, because the freedom mind finds freedom in relationships. It finds its freedom through loving another, through loving another on a one-to-one basis, to connect, to look in another person's eyes, to really see them and to realize that there's more than I. I encompasses more than just this. I is also inside that one. You, it's very intimate. You know, there's nothing more intimate than you. You singular. Just you. The indigenous people have, of Australia, they have additional pronouns, you know, that they have more than 6. And one of them that I love is we too. You know, they have we too, us too. You know, it's a little bit like you, but because it goes into that intimacy, but it's different, you know. So anyway, let's stay with you. You is that, is bridging the gap between us. That's where freedom lies. Freedom lies in loving. Freedom lies in intimacy. Freedom lies in that connection between all beings. One individual unit connecting to another individual unit and realizing that I'm not to blame. It wasn't all about me. There's more here, you know. But what the you does is it falls prey at the lower frequencies to accusation. So whereas 1 is self-sabotage and curls up inside itself, 2 projects it out, projects the blame out. You're to blame. You. So it accuses. It's very direct. You. And all the passion of you can then pour out into a relationship and become incredibly destructive in that relationship. You did it. You. See, you did it requires that person to be on the end of the phone or on the end of an email or right in front of you. You know, it's really like, it's anger. You. And we see it in relationships all the time as they break up. And what we're doing is we're projecting that, you know, that identity onto another, the blame. We're projecting out of ourselves so that we don't have to feel it, you know, because we are afraid of the self-sabotage. If I take all the blame, then I might just disappear down that wormhole. You are to blame. And that creates all kinds of conflicts in the world, and it splits up relationships. And we know the stories, you know. But the beauty of the freedom mind, the real beauty of the freedom mind, is its highest statement. I love you. I love you. You know, in every language, there is a word, there is an expression for I love you. I love you. It's the most beautiful statement you can practically utter to another person. Is there anything greater? I love you. You know, and in that sense, it's selfless. You know, and this is where freedom is. The freedom mind is to connect through that intimacy, through that transparency, to give another person your full heart, your trust. So instead of you did it, it becomes I love you. You know, I forgive you. You know, and really you're forgiving yourself, but you're externalizing that as love. I forgive you. You know, and so beautiful, you know, and there's a whole story contained in that freedom mind. The third one is he, she, or it. I call this the joyous mind. The joyous mind, he, she, or it. That one over there. He, she, or it is interesting because it requires you, it requires a relationship to talk about the third thing. So it's like he did it, or maybe it's a writer that writes it. You know, it's like he did this, he rose that, he then went on to win a gold medal. You know, it's a storytelling component of the joyous mind. The joyous mind is able to look and see others in a slightly more objective way, and to then journey through creation, to explore creation, the animals, the birds, the bees, the stars, you know, that star up there, the sun, you know, all of these things. It looks at the world around, this third one, the joyous mind, and it just takes it in and is saturated by the beauty all around. He, she, or it. He. Of course, you can see where this is going, because the joyous mind can also become the complaining mind. So we have complaint, where the blame is transferred to a third party. He is to blame. She is to blame. He did it. She did it. It did it. No. And so the blame again is projected out, but it's not projected out into the eyes of another person directly as an argument, as an accusation, it's projected out as a complaint, and as gossip, as that, oh, he did it, she did it, oh, and it's the way in which we strip the world of its joy by complaining, because it's another victim pattern. We're blaming, we're projecting something outside of ourselves. And even though it's a very human, these are all very human. They're part of our humanity, but they're a journey. Each one is a journey. You've got to somehow go through that journey and come back to the joyous mind. I forgive him, I forgive her. Of course, then it becomes, he is love, she is love, it is love. That's such a realization. That's very different from I love you. It's like, I love him, I love her, I love it, because you've seen from more of a distance that person or that thing isn't what your negative mind believed that they are. They're not that. They're actually one of you. So that little bit of distance, because they're not directly engaging with you, is magic. It's full of magic, because then you realize everyone is like you. Every single thing is, every person is exploring the same difficulties as you. And that's where joy comes from. Joy comes from being able to sort of realize I really am not alone. Like, he had the same experience as me. I read it in a book, wow, that's incredible. She had the same experience. It kind of helped me understand. It helped me forgive. Whatever it is, it can be many, many things. It's the third he, she, or it is just endlessly engaging with creation in all its multitudinous forms. That's the joyous mind. The fourth one is we, the compassionate mind. The compassionate mind is realizing that we are a we, that everything we look at, the he, she, or it's, the you looking in the eyes, the I just this on its own, is all part of a greater we, and that's a huge shift. That's a huge shift in consciousness, and what you see through these pronouns is they resonate with the earlier ones. So I and we resonate, you and you plural resonate, and he and she and they resonate. So they're like octaves. So I becomes we. So the wisdom becomes compassion. Compassion is able to understand that through empathy, through sympathy, through realizing, in a way, he, she, or it is sympathy, because you're looking at it over there and you're understanding, the same journey. That person had the same journey, the same pain, the same struggle as me. And I can relate to that. Wow, that makes me feel happier because it's not just me. But the compassionate mind is empathy as opposed to sympathy, because we is like, suddenly that person is me. They're inside me. I'm not just looking at them from a distance. I am them. They are inside me. And that leads to compassion. That leads to resonance. That leads to empathy. And of course, we, in the negative aspect, becomes misery. It becomes hopelessness. It becomes futility, because it's like we are all to blame. We don't stand a chance. We did this. We've destroyed this planet. We're destroying it. Of course, it also means we can save it. But the negative side always just collapses into we. And it's like misery misery always loves company. There's an expression, misery loves company. So it's like, I want to drag other people into my we, into my hopelessness. And it can lead to all kinds of, a sort of a different kind of collapse, where there's even less hope, because everyone's involved. Everyone's identified in it. And even you just don't hear anymore any messages of hope. You don't hear them, you don't resonate with them. Because even we can't save the world. That's what the negative is, because we're blaming it on ourselves as a whole. And that's really heavy. That's the That's the beginning of the journey towards compassion, actually, realizing that we are a we and that we have the capacity to awaken as a collective, not just as individuals, but as a collective. So yes, we are to blame to a degree, but also we have the capacity to rise up and transmute what we've done, the bad things, not that they're bad, the things that have caused problems, and to fix them and to work together and to actually bring beauty back into the world, to see beauty, to understand it, to work as a collective, to work as societies, to work as families, as relationships, to work together. And then, of course, it becomes we are love. Possibly the greatest statement that any human can utter. I mean, I know I've said I am love but we are love is like, wow, we're all love. There's nothing more intimate than we are love, because it brings everything in. Everyone becomes personalized as a part of you. We are love. That's the compassionate mind. Then we have you plural. You plural is an odd one. And I call this the abundant mind. The abundant mind, because you plural is a way of looking out through these eyes and directly connecting with multiple beings and creatures and out there, but in an intimate way. You, all of you, all of you out there. There's a distance in you always, but there's also a kind of interpenetration. It's the abundant, nature of creation is you. When you're looking out and you see, wow, there's you and there's you, and then there's you and there's you and there's you and there's you and there's you. There's so many yous. And there's that incredible sort of abundance, this proliferation of connection, of relationship, of this interconnected community of being, interpenetrating each other. How everything is interconnected. That's what you plural sees, the abundance of creation, the prosperity that creation can cause. When you look up into the cosmos and you see all those stars, you're like, wow, look at all those yous, you, and they're all part of this. And of course, that also, at the negative side, that becomes delusion. It becomes delusion, and it gets really twisted. You are all to blame. You all did it. All of you. I'm going to take my revenge on you. And so it becomes a delusion. It becomes a complex inside us, a vendetta even, where you play out a kind of pattern in your life where there's a paranoia underneath that everyone's looking at you. All these people looking at me, all of you are looking at me. I've got to behave. I've got to be like this. I have this expectation on myself, this pressure, because all of you are seeing me. And so there's this huge pressure to be something that you're not, and to narrow down that abundance and gets caught in kind of deluded ideas of what you think you want to look like and what you think you should be like and how you should behave and all the shoulds. And it can be tyrannical as well. Like it can lead to, because you plural is about leadership, actually. You plural is the view of leaders, and so it can also take advantage of you, all of you, you should follow me. You can follow me. I can help you. I can lead you. So it talks to everyone like that. And of course, the other aspect of it is you are all love. That's like the Messiah talking, You are all love. And it might sound arrogant because leadership has that, but you are all love. And it's not that you have to say that, but that's the projection. That's the healthy projection. Wow. You're all love. Every one of you. That little atom there, that, you're all love. This is the abundance of the cosmos. And that's, out of that you plural come the great leaders of humanity. The great voices of humanity. And they may not say you plural, but it's in their energy field. Because they're talking. It's like a really great musician or a really great writer. They're connecting individually with all these different singular yous. because they're reaching out into your heart, and the words they speak are going to touch all these different yous. So there's a real beauty in the abundant mind. And finally we come to they. I call they the silent mind. The silent mind. Because they has true objectivity. They looks at everything, at all things, at all beings, and just sees everything as the screen of consciousness. Just looks at it. Thoughts passing across. Look at that thought. There goes one. There goes another one. Look at them all passing in front of us. Everything just a screen and the projection of it. And this distance, this silence, where nothing needs to complicate life. Everything becomes simple again. And in a way there's a return, to the joyous mind, because in that silence, in that witnessing, joy wells up. This joy wells up of like, wow, the awestruck mind. The awestruck mind of, wow, mind is just, we're all figments of mind. All those things out there, all those thoughts that are passing before the screen of this consciousness, whatever it is, they are all theys. So there's this incredible witnessing in the silent mind. You see that in some of the great spiritual teachings. Of course, at the negative side, at the negative frequency, it becomes they are all to blame. And this is conspiracy. They did it. It's them, the men in black. It's the government, them, the aliens, them, the cabal secretly conspiring to get me, the gods, whatever it is, there's a lot of them, and it's all this negative projection that they have power or are trying to usurp me and this and us, or you, plural, with power. It can go through any single one of them, I, you, he, she, it. They is looking from this objective view on the mountain and going, I've seen them. I understand them. I've seen through. They are out to get us. And of course, in every single one of these, there's always elements of truth as well. So often in a conspiracy, there's an element of truth. So the thing to realize is that if you make it your worldview, if this is your worldview, then your mind will never be silent, can never be silent, can never trust, can never sit back and just watch the projections and go, well, they went past, and then they went past, and then they went past, and then another part of history took place, and then another one, and it just all passes by. Everything changes, And if you're caught up in the conspiracies, then you're caught up in the conspiracies. You've projected again your identity into this game, and then you feel like you have the power to do something about it, and then you're off on a mission. Let's go get them. And you can see this in the world today, all the thems, looking at thems, whether it's Democrats looking at the Republicans or whether it's whichever side it is, women, men looking at each other like, it's them, it's them, it's them. And then you look together as one group, and then you look at another group, and it creates these schisms and fractures and things, and constantly it's all the mind of conspiracy. So you've got to see deep into these patterns. These are woven into the infrastructure of our brain, of our neurology. And if you're caught in them, you're caught in them. Whether you're complaining, whether you're accusing, whether you're feeling hopeless and lost, whether you are on a mission, to convert, whether you're miserable in your basement, and it's all your fault. Whichever one you're caught in it. So see through them. Because ultimately what they sees is they are all love. Every thought is love, every being is love, every atom is love. It's all witnessed as love from this place of silence. Silence is the only thing that can, a silent mind is the only thing that can see through the delusions, the hopelessness, the complaining, the accusation, the self-sabotage, and the conspiracy. And then all these 6 minds, which are really one, come together. So the silent mind realizes it's the wisdom mind because it's infinite. And then that realizes it's the freedom mind. I love you. I am love. And then it's the joyous mind that wells up. He's love, she's love, it's love. And then we, the compassionate mind, we can do anything because we're love. And then you, all of you are love. All of you are love. That level of intimacy that connects. And finally, the silent mind, they are love. They are all love. And they comes back to I. And the circle is complete. But I hope you can see that this is really just one mind, and the way in which our language patterns have taught us to divide it, to divide us into these illusory fragments, when in fact there's just one whole. We're all they, and there's something holding us in that consciousness, in that wider consciousness. So I hope this is of use to you, just to see through perhaps some of the patterns that you may be experiencing and perhaps you're even caught in. And seeing through these veils can really help you to find these wider minds, this vast mind, the wisdom mind, the freedom mind, the joyous mind, the compassionate mind, the abundant mind, the silent mind. So I hope it's of use to you to help understand and increase your capacity for forgiveness, for love, and for joy. And I wanted to add one more thing, because I don't want to create misunderstanding here. And that is that, we're here to play roles in the theatre of life. And those roles have integrity, many of them. They have their own dharma, their own, karma. And so whichever role you find yourself in, just play it to the hilt. But see through it at the same time. Because that's what I'm trying to convey here. There are injustices in the world, and a part of the human journey is to take on those injustices as we see them. And that's a valuable and wonderful, empowering thing to do. And each one of these minds is a journey. It's a journey to freedom, to break through into a wider sphere of consciousness. So every step of the journey is of value. You have to do the journey to get the freedom, to realize the freedom. And so it's important to play the role that you're playing and to see what you're seeing, but at the same time to be able to see through the veil that you may be caught in it. Because then you can play it, but without being overly attached within the theatre itself. In other words, you're wearing a costume, and that then gives you the freedom to play it well, without being caught in the drama itself, because then you are free. So I wanted to make that clear so that each of us feels free to play the role that we wish to play, and at the same time to realize that all roles are ultimately illusions, sets of clothing, costumes that we'll put down when we die and we return back into the wisdom mind, the silent mind. So, have fun in your role.